In this tutorial, we're going to cover the SketchUp System Preferences pane and the Model Info pane. Now, SketchUp Preferences is specific to SketchUp as a whole. Any change you make to the preferences will change across every time you use SketchUp. The Model Info panel is specific to the model you're working on at the time. So let's go ahead and jump into Preferences. Preferences on the Windows platform is located under Window, Preferences. If you're on the Mac platform, it's located under the SketchUp menu under Preferences. Now you'll notice that there's quite a few different tabs over here on this side. We're only going to go through just a few of them. The first one is under Applications, and it's our default image editor. Here we're going to go to Choose, and I'm going to navigate to on my hard drive where I have Photoshop installed. I'm going to choose my CS6 installation that is 64-bit, and I'm going to choose Photoshop.exe and click Open. What that does is that assigns Photoshop as my default image editor for when I need to customize textures. I'm going to jump down to Extensions, and though we're not going to be making any changes to this area in general, just to go over what extensions are going to be something that's very closely tied to plugins when we get to that subject. Plugins are a way of assigning different tools that were not written specifically inside SketchUp when it was released. Developers and independent scriptwriters can release their own tools based on whatever workflows they use, and you can then download these and add them to your installation of SketchUp. It's a very handy way of adding additional tools to SketchUp that wouldn't normally be available. Now under Files, this is where all of your defaults are set up. You'll notice that all of your models are saved to your username and then Documents folder. This is where all of SketchUp's individual styles and texture images and materials and all of its associated files are stored. We're not going to make any changes to this, but you should be aware of where they are stored. Under General, we just want to take a look at what's available to us. We want to have Create Backup checked, Autosave checked, and it's saved to 5 minutes. What this will do is this will create an autosave and a backup every 5 minutes so that you don't lose any work should it crash. Now shortcuts we're not going to change for the moment, but in the next couple of tutorials we'll be talking about them a little bit, and we'll eventually be customizing our keyboard shortcuts. SketchUp's default shortcuts are very good, but for this individual class I've tailored a specific set of keyboard shortcuts for us, and we'll be learning SketchUp based on those. Now under the next tab, Template, is where we can define our own template should we wish to. We'll eventually be customizing our template and setting that as our default. So this is where you'll need to go to change your template. Workspace allows you control over the size of the buttons on your toolbars and allows you to reset your workspace. But we're not really going to do anything with that for now. So we'll go ahead and cancel out of that. And we'll take a look at Model Info. Now if we go to Model Info, the same is presented to us in a little bit of a different way. This is all specific to our individual model that we're working on. We have an Animation tab, a Components tab, which controls how our model is viewed when we're talking about components and groups, which we'll get into. Credits, so you can claim credit for your own model. Dimensions. File, which tells you about what version was saved, what the name is and where it is, the size and the description of your model. Geolocation, which basically lets you add a physical location to your model. Rendering, which controls the textures. Statistics, which we'll get into a little bit later, but this is all of the nitty-gritty details about what your model is comprised of. Text, which allows you control over the different fonts and texts that are seen in your model. And Units, which is where we'll come to on the next couple of tutorials as far as setting up SketchUp to start working in an active template that we're going to create. So put together, both the Model Info panel and the Preferences panel are going to be where you're going to be going to make most of your changes in SketchUp. Anything you want to change or customize in SketchUp, you'll go to those two places first. Now in the next tutorial, we'll start covering how to prepare a template and how to modify SketchUp for the use of our class.